All right, so let's get right into it. What we've got here is a real David versus Goliath story from the world of medicine. You have a standard treatment, something doctors have relied on for years, being challenged by, well, one of the most common and cheapest drugs you can find anywhere. And this isn't some small thing. It could totally change how we handle recovery after some really serious injuries. I mean, think about that for a second. It's a terrifying idea, right? You've gone through the pain of a bad break. You've had the surgery, you're in the cast, and you're thinking, okay, the worst is behind me. But what if it's not? What if the biggest threat is something you can't even see, quietly forming inside your own body? That hidden danger is a blood clot. And that brings us right to our first section. See, healing a broken bone is just the first step. It's what comes after. The being laid up, the not moving around as much. That's when things can get really risky. And it's a risk we have to take seriously. So let's be super clear about what we're talking about here. The medical name for it is venous thromboembolism, or VTE. It all starts with what's called a deep vein thrombosis, a DVT. That's a blood clot that usually forms in your leg. Now, a clot in your leg is bad enough, but the real life-threatening danger is when a piece of that clot breaks off, travels through your bloodstream, and gets lodged in your lungs. That's called a pulmonary embolism, a PE, and it can absolutely be fatal. Okay, so this is a known threat. How have doctors been fighting it? Well, for a long time, there's been one heavyweight champion in the ring, a go-to treatment that all the top authorities in the field have recommended. The group that really sets the rules here is the Orthopedic Trauma Association, the OTI. When they put out guidelines, surgeons listen. Their recommendations pretty much become this standard of care in hospitals everywhere. And if you look back at their 2015 guidelines, man, they couldn't have been more clear. They said the best thing to use is something called low molecular weight heparin, or LMWH. And look at that last bullet point. They didn't just ignore aspirin, they specifically went out of their way to say its use is not recommended. As far as they were concerned, the case was closed. And look, let's be fair. LMWH works. It's a very effective drug. For a long time, its track record made all the downsides, the fact that it's expensive and that you have to give yourself an injection every day, seem like a necessary evil. But wow, what a burden to put on a patient who's already dealing with a major injury. But what if there was another way? This is where our story gets really interesting, because into the ring steps this totally unlikely challenger, plain old, over-the-counter aspirin, the exact drug the experts had just told everyone to forget about. This was the million-dollar question. Well, probably billion-dollar question, really. Could this humble little pill that you can buy at any drugstore actually go toe-to-toe with the expensive, injectable gold standard? To find out, researchers launched a massive, incredibly ambitious study called the Prevent Clot Trial. And when I say massive, I mean it. This was no small-time study. We're talking more than 12,000 patients. 12,000! Spread across 21 different top-tier trauma centers. This was designed to be a definitive heavyweight championship fight. So the stage is set. You've got thousands of patients, and they're randomly assigned to get either the standard LMWH injections or simple aspirin. And the main question, the big one they wanted to answer, was this. After 90 days, what was the most important outcome of all? Who survived? First up, the results for the aspirin group. After 90 days, the death rate was an incredibly low 0.78%. So, how did the reigning champ do? In the LMWH group, the rate was 0.73%. Just look at those numbers. The difference is practically nothing. We're talking 0.05 of a single percentage point. In the real world, and statistically, they are virtually identical. And this brings us to a really important idea in medicine called non-inferiority. It basically means you don't always have to prove a new drug is better. Sometimes just proving it's not any worse is a huge win, especially if it's way cheaper or easier for patients to take. And that's exactly what happened here. The trial officially proved it. When it comes to preventing death, aspirin was non-inferior to the gold standard. But, of course, death wasn't the only thing they looked at, and when you dig into the other numbers, the plot thickens. For preventing those super dangerous clots in the lungs, the pulmonary embolisms, the rates were exactly the same, 149%. No difference. Bleeding risks, also about the same. The only real difference they found was in DVTs, the clots in the leg, where LMWH was a little bit better. Now, all this clinical data is one thing,
But the researchers, smartly, wanted to know about the human side of the equation. How did the patients themselves actually feel about all this? And what did it hit them in the wallet?
And wow, the results for patient satisfaction were just night and day. A whopping 95% of people taking aspirin said they were satisfied with it. For the group doing the daily injections of LMWH, that number dropped all the way to 85%. That 10-point gap is absolutely massive in healthcare. To put it another way, the math showed that patients taking aspirin had 2.6 times higher odds of being satisfied. This isn't just a slight preference. It's a huge, significant difference in how patients experience their own recovery. And then there's the money. I mean, this is a huge part of the story. Taking aspirin reduced a patient's odds of having to shell out $25 or more by an incredible 85%. Think about that. You're basically protecting patients from any kind of significant medical bill for their clot prevention. So, you step back and you look at all of this together, the clinical results, how much happier patients are, the money they save, and you just have to ask the question, is it time to completely rethink how we're doing this? So here's the final trade-off, plain and simple. With aspirin, you get a cheap, easy pill that patients are way happier with, and it's just as good at stopping the things that can actually kill you, death and pulmonary embolisms. The only downside is a slightly higher risk of those less severe clots in the leg. On the other side, with LMWH, you get the old standard that is a little better at preventing those leg clots, but you're paying for it with daily shots, lower patient satisfaction, and much higher costs. And hey, don't just take it from me. The lead researcher who ran this whole thing, Dr. Robert O'Toole, basically said he expects these results to make a huge splash and maybe even change the standard of care. This isn't just some academic exercise. This is a direct challenge to the way things have been done for years. And that's where we're left. We have rock-solid evidence that a cheaper, easier option that patients prefer works just as well on the outcomes that matter most. So what's the right call? Is a tiny benefit in one area worth all the downsides in cost and patient experience? The debate is officially on. And it makes you wonder, how many other gold standards in medicine are just waiting for a simple, common-sense challenger to finally step into the ring?